I said, big Red River Rivalry matchup this week between number 1 Texas and number 16 or 18, my apologies, 18 now, Oklahoma. Listen, it's no longer the Big 12, but it's the SEC, but it's still a big matchup between these two teams. As you guys know, Texas just moved up to number 1 this week. They're 5-0, 1-0 in the SEC. Oklahoma 4-1 on the year, 1-1 in the conference. Texas coming off a big win against Mississippi State, winning 35-13, while Oklahoma's coming off a nail-biting performance against Auburn, in which they won 27-21. Oklahoma's only loss in the season right so far is against Tennessee, in which they lost 25-15. And we talked about in that game where Oklahoma wasn't able to get into a rhythm offensively, but defensively did a great job of limiting Tennessee's high-powered, highly potent offense. However, Oklahoma just couldn't get into a rhythm offensively, and that has been the issue or cause for concern for Oklahoma throughout the season so far. And Texas, we know, has looked like the number 1 team in the country all year. We saw what they did to Colorado State. We saw what they did to Michigan, in Michigan. And like I said last week, we saw what they did to Mississippi State. I do believe that this week, this game against Oklahoma will be Texas' toughest task so far on the year. And this is going to be a good indicator of how good Texas is and just how much there's of a separator or how much of a divide there is between Texas and Georgia and Alabama. So I talked about ad nauseum on this show about how Texas has been the best team in college football so far, with 6 weeks into the season, and that was with their performances against marginal opponents. And so going up against a highly touted SEC opponent in Oklahoma will be a good indicator for Texas to see how good they are and how they perform against highly physical defenses. Michigan is probably the most physical team that Texas has faced so far, but we know that Michigan is susceptible to highly potent offenses, and Michigan is not what they were last year. We saw what happened to them against Washington, but Oklahoma will be a more apropos way of discerning just how good Texas is this season. And if we look up matchup predictor, Texas has an 85% chance of winning this game compared to 15% for Oklahoma. And the line and spread is currently set at minus 15 for Texas, and the over-under is currently at 50. So matchup predictor thinks that this is going to be a highly explosive game for Texas. And I'm excited to see Oklahoma's defense against this highly powered Texas offense. And I've seen enough from this Oklahoma defense for me to say that Oklahoma has one of the best defenses in the country. I mean, listen, Oklahoma is allowing 16 points per game, which is good for 19th in the country. And they're for their defensive stats, they're only allowing 340 total yards of offense per game, which is phenomenal. And like I said, this is a defense that Texas hasn't faced all year, and this would be a great opportunity to see how good Texas is. And I do believe Texas, like I said, is the best team in college football right now. Led by their offense, and specifically Isaiah Bond, Alabama transfer, who has 20 receptions, 364 yards, 3 touchdowns on the year. And we know what Texas offense is capable of doing. They're averaging 322 passing yards per game, which is good for 10th in the country. They're averaging 191 yards per game on the ground, which is good for 39th. And they're averaging 45 points per game, which is good for 7th in the country. And speaking of defenses, Texas defense is only allowing 7 points per game, which is good for 2nd in the country. Albeit Texas has not had as difficult as a schedule, I'd say, for in comparison to Oklahoma. And I say that because I don't believe Michigan is as good as we thought they were. And like I said, Mississippi State is a great SEC opponent, but I think Auburn's better than Mississippi State, and obviously Tennessee is better than Mississippi State as well. So the big question is going to be: is Texas going to be able to continue to be explosive in the passing attack? Huge indicator of that is who's going to be under center. Is it going to be Arch Manning, or is it going to be Quinn Ewers? I think Quinn goes back into the starting lineup. I'm not entirely sure about his health. I believe he's scheduled to play this game. And our host, Dre Pennington, he is going with Texas as well. OU seems shaky, especially after the Auburn scare. Dre, I agree with you. And, I'm sure we'll talk about this on our live show on Thursday or Friday. Oklahoma is susceptible to if anything on defense, and Oklahoma is susceptible to the deep ball. We know how great they are at stopping the run, and we saw that, like Dre said, against Auburn. And I believe that Texas, especially if Quinn Ewers is back in the lineup, is going to do a good job of utilizing play action and throwing the ball outside the numbers downfield. I'm not sure Oklahoma is going to go into a dime package for most of this game, just to counteract or balance out the 3-man split formation that Texas normally runs. But I can see Oklahoma doing that because their front seven is already pretty good, so I can see them just adding another man to the secondary. But I do think this game will be close in the first half, and I do think Texas will pull away towards the end of the game. About the beginning of the fourth quarter, that's when Texas will start to pull away. But that's because Oklahoma's offense is just too inconsistent from what I've seen so far. They don't do a great job of having long extended drives, which is unfortunate because now the Oklahoma defense has to be on the field longer, and they get tired, they get worn out, and which is what happened with Auburn. They had so many possessions on the field, the defense did, and allowed Auburn to make a comeback and make the game close. And I believe that's going to happen as well in this game. Oklahoma won't be able to get into a rhythm offensively or create any consistency. And so, over the course of the game, that starts to wear down on the Oklahoma defense. And then that allows big plays to open up for Texas, particularly in the secondary. So right now I have Texas winning this game by a score of 35-18. And I think Texas once again proves that they are the best team in the country. And I know this is obviously a Red River Rivalry, one of the best rivalries in college football. However, I don't believe this matchup, this iteration, is going to have the same flair and the same spectacle that its previous iterations have. But me and Dre both have Texas winning this game. Let us know what you guys think in the comment section. What do you guys think about this this matchup? Do you guys have Oklahoma pulling off the upset, or do you guys have Texas beating Oklahoma? Leave your thoughts in the comment section. But in our next segment, guys, we're going to be talking about another interesting matchup between some Big Ten opponents. So be sure to stick around for that, guys. You're not going to miss it. We'll be right back.